The letter arrived on a quiet morning, slid under the glass door of a small city newspaper. It was written in neat, careful handwriting. At the top, it said only one thing: "I did it." Below that were details no one outside the police could know. The place, the time, the mistake the killer made and fixed. When the editor finished reading, his hands were shaking. This was not a prank. This was the voice of someone who had killed and wanted the world to know. By noon, the police were inside the newsroom. By nightfall, the city was holding its breath. The letter said there would be more. That was how the fear began. Weeks earlier, before anyone knew a killer was watching the news, the city felt normal. Kids rode bikes. People waited in line for coffee. Sirens were just background noise. Then a body was found in a small park near the river. The police called it a tragedy. They said there was no danger to the public. The news ran a short story, then moved on. But the killer did not move on. He watched the coverage. He listened to the words reporters used. He noticed what they got wrong. And that bothered him. So he wrote. The first letter was short. It corrected one small detail from a news report. It explained where the victim had really been standing. It ended with a sentence that made the editor feel cold all over. "You will tell the story right next time." The police asked the paper not to print anything about the letter. They wanted time. They wanted quiet. But rumors spread fast. Another letter arrived 2 days later, this one mailed to a radio station across town. Then a third, sent to a TV newsroom. Each letter was calm, polite, almost friendly, and each one proved the writer was a killer. The city changed. Parents walked their kids to school. Stores closed earlier. People jumped when the phone rang late at night. The killer never shouted. He never threatened. He simply kept writing, like a teacher correcting homework. The police formed a special team. They pinned maps to the walls. They studied handwriting. They checked stamps and envelopes. They brought in experts who measured the slant of each letter and the pressure of the pen. They thought the killer might be educated, patient, someone who liked control. But the letters did not lead them to him. Instead, the letters led the killer to them. He reacted to every police move. When officers held a press conference, the next letter mocked it. When they asked the public for tips, the killer wrote, "You won't need them." He knew when details were kept secret, and he knew when they slipped. That meant one thing. He was watching very closely. A month after the first letter, there was another killing. This time, the body was found exactly where the killer later described in his next letter. The police had tried to keep it quiet. The killer knew anyway. Panic spread across the city like a storm. Talk shows argued about whether the media should stop reporting the story. Some people blamed the news for giving the killer attention. Others said the public had a right to know. The killer settled the debate himself. He sent a long letter to the biggest newspaper in the state. In it, he explained why he wrote. He said the city did not listen unless forced to. He said the truth mattered to him. He said he liked watching people guess and fail. At the end, he wrote, "You think I will make a mistake. I already learned how not to." That line haunted the detectives. Most killers slipped up. They bragged too much. They trusted the wrong person. This one sounded different. Calm, careful, almost proud of his patience. Then came the part no one expected. The killer stopped writing. Days passed. Then weeks. No letters. No messages. No new crimes. The police wondered if he had left the city, or if he had died, or if he was waiting. The media slowly relaxed. People tried to breathe again. The city wanted to believe it was over. Then, late one night, a young reporter stayed behind to finish a story. As she locked up, she noticed an envelope taped to her car window. There was no stamp, no address, just her name. Inside was a single page, folded once. It began with the same neat handwriting as before. "You forgot about me," it said. "That was your mistake." And at the bottom of the page was a date. Tomorrow. The reporter stared at the paper, her heart pounding, knowing that by morning the whole city would be awake again. And somewhere out there...
The city woke up to fear again. The reporter did not sleep that night. She sat at her kitchen table, the letter spread out in front of her, reading the words again and again. The date at the bottom stared back at her like an eye that would not close. She called her editor. Then she called the police. By sunrise, officers were outside her apartment. They took the letter in a clear plastic bag. They asked her the same questions again and again. Had she noticed anyone watching her? Had she told anyone she stayed late at work? Had she seen a strange car? She answered no to all of it. That scared them. The police held an early press meeting. They did not share the date from the letter. They did not share the threat. They asked the city to stay calm. They said there was no reason to panic. People panicked anyway. Parents kept their kids home. Offices closed early. Streets felt empty, like the city was holding its breath. Everyone watched the clock. Everyone wondered what would happen when the day ended. The police worked fast. They reopened every old lead. They reviewed every letter. They checked cameras near news buildings and mailboxes. They brought back the handwriting experts. They asked them to look again, closer this time. One expert noticed something small. The killer's writing stayed neat even when he was angry. That meant control. Another expert noticed the paper. It was common paper, but always cut the same way, with the same clean edge. Someone careful had done that. The police believed the killer lived nearby. He needed quick access. He needed to watch the news fast. He needed to move without being seen. They thought he might be ordinary. That idea made everyone uneasy. At noon, a new letter arrived. This time it went to a local TV station. The station did not open it right away. They called the police first. When it was opened, everyone in the room went quiet. The letter did not talk about death. It talked about attention. The killer wrote that he did not like being ignored. He wrote that silence made him angry. He wrote that if the media stopped talking, he would make sure they started again. At the bottom of the page, he wrote one line. I choose the time. The police rushed to protect places where crowds gathered. Gas stations, schools, parks, malls. They could not protect everything. They knew it. The reporter felt sick with guilt. The letter had been meant for her. She wondered if staying quiet would have helped. Or made it worse. She wondered if the killer was watching her right now, smiling. The day dragged on. Then, just before sunset, police scanners lit up. Officers raced across town to a shopping center parking lot. Sirens echoed between buildings. News helicopters rose into the sky. A man had been found injured near his car. He survived. That changed everything. The police questioned him carefully. He said he had heard a loud sound and fallen. He did not see anyone. He did not see a face. But he remembered one detail. He remembered a note on his windshield. The killer had written again. The letter was short. It said the day was not over yet. It said the city had been warned. It said next time would not be a warning. The police locked the area down. They searched nearby woods and buildings. They found nothing. No suspect. No weapon. No clear path. Night fell. The city did not relax. Late that night, the reporter turned on her TV. Every channel showed the same thing. Maps. Red dots. Experts guessing. Old clips from earlier letters. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. It had no words. Only a picture. It was the front door of her newsroom. And beneath the picture, one sentence appeared. The reporter froze. The picture on her phone was clear. Too clear. The front door of her newsroom. The same scratch on the handle. The same poster taped to the glass. Someone had been there very recently. She called the police again. This time, they did not tell her to stay calm. They told her to stay inside. By morning, the newsroom was surrounded by police tape. Officers stood at every entrance. Cameras were placed on nearby streets. The city woke up to the news that the killer was closer than anyone thought. Fear spread fast. People asked the same question everywhere. How could he get so close without being seen? The police made a risky choice. They decided to use the media. They believed the killer wanted attention, control, a response. So they planned to give him one, but on their terms. That night, the reporter went on air. She read a short message, written with police help. She spoke slowly, clearly. She said the city was not afraid anymore. She said the police were ready. She said the letters did not make him powerful. Millions watched. Somewhere, the killer watched too. The next letter came just after midnight. It was not mailed. It was dropped. Security cameras caught a hooded figure placing it inside a newspaper vending box 2 streets from the station. The face was hidden, but something new appeared. A mistake. The figure looked up. Just for a second. And the camera caught his eyes. Police worked through the night. They tracked the route. They checked nearby cameras. They followed the path step by step. Trash bins. Alleys. Bus stops. At dawn, they had a name. A quiet man. No criminal record. Worked alone. Lived close to the city center. Neighbors described him as polite. Forgettable. Someone who smiled and kept to himself. Someone no one would suspect. Police moved in carefully. They knocked. There was no answer. They forced the door open. Inside, they found stacks of newspapers. Notebooks filled with copied headlines. Draft letters rewritten again and again. He was gone. But he had been there recently. The final letter arrived 2 days later. It was sent to every major media outlet at the same time. In it, the killer wrote that the game was over. He said he was tired. He said the city would never truly know him. He did not brag. He did not threaten. He ended with one line. You were listening. That was enough. The police searched for years. Tips came in. Leads faded. The case grew cold. No arrest was ever made. No final answer was given. The city healed slowly. People returned to routines. Fear faded into memory. The letters were locked away in evidence rooms. The story became history. But sometimes, reporters still talk about it late at night. About the killer who never wanted to be seen. Only heard. Only read. And about how he vanished into silence. Leaving behind words that still echo, long after the ink dried.